Why is listening so important? Listening helps you learn new words and understand how they are used in sentences. When you listen, you hear the correct pronunciation and how words are connected in speech. This allows you to speak more naturally. The more you listen, the better you will become at both understanding and speaking English. There are many different ways to practice listening. You don't always have to read a book to improve your English. Listening to stories, songs, and news programs can be just as helpful. When I first started, I listened to simple stories. Even though I didn't understand everything, I kept listening. Over time, the words became clearer, and I understood more. One important thing I realized was that listening improves speaking. When you listen closely, you learn the correct way to say words. You also pick up the rhythm and tone of the language. This helps you sound more natural when you speak. Listening and speaking are connected. If you want to be a good speaker, you must first be a good listener. Chapter 1. I Leave Home. My name is Robinson. I am from England. I live in a town called York. My father is a good man. He wants me to live a quiet life. He wants me to stay safe. But I don't want that. I want to see the world. I want to go to sea. I want to travel far. My father says no. He says, "The sea is dangerous. Stay home. You will be happy here." I don't listen. My heart says go. I want more than quiet streets and safe work. One day I meet a friend. He is going on a ship. He says, "Come with me." Just one trip. I don't tell my parents. I say nothing to my mother. I say nothing to my father. I just leave. I feel excited. I feel free. The ship is big. The sky is blue. The wind is strong. I look at the sea and smile. This is my dream. But dreams can change. On the first night, the wind grows louder. The ship starts to shake. The sky turns dark. Rain falls hard. Waves hit the ship. The water comes over the side. I hold the rope tight. I feel fear in my chest. I want to go home. I think, why did I leave? But it's too late now. The storm stops. In the morning, the sun comes out. The sea is calm, but I am not calm. I feel lost inside. My friend laughs and says, "That was nothing. Real storms are worse." I try to smile, but my heart is heavy. The ship goes on. We reach a port in a new city. I think about going home. I want to write to my father, but I don't. I stay quiet. I tell myself, one more trip. I find a new ship. This one is bigger. The captain is kind. He teaches me about the sea. He says, "Watch the sky. Watch the wind. The sea has moods." I listen. I learn. I write in my small book. I write simple words. I write what I see, what I hear, what I feel. The sea teaches me every day. Then one day, something bad happens. A pirate ship finds us. Men with guns come on board. They take the ship. They take everything. They take me too. I am now a prisoner. They take me to a far land. I do not know the name. The people speak strange words. I do not understand. I miss home. I miss my father. I miss the safe streets of York. But I do not cry. I look for a way out. I wait. I watch. I plan. I work for a man by the sea. He owns boats. He gives me small jobs. I carry water. I clean fish. I learn their words. Slowly, I understand them. One day, he lets me go on a fishing boat. I smile. I say, thank you. But inside, I think, this is my chance. I look at the sea. I look at the boat. I think about freedom. I think about escape. I know I must act soon. I cannot stay here forever. I left home to see the world, but now I just want to survive. The sea called me once. It gave me dreams. Now it holds my hope. Chapter 2. I plan to escape. Every day I go to the sea. I work on the boats. I smile at the men. I say little. I stay quiet. But in my mind, I am not quiet. My mind is loud. It makes a plan to escape. I cannot live here forever. I am a prisoner. I want to be free. I think about the sea. The sea took me from home. But now the sea is my only hope. The man I work for trusts me. He lets me go fishing. I go with 2 other men. One is a young boy. His name is Yuri. He is kind. He listens. He works hard. The other is a guard. He has a knife. He does not smile. But one day the man says, "Take the boat. Go fishing. Bring back many fish." I say yes. I hide my fear. This is the chance I was waiting for. We go out early. The sun is low. The sea is quiet. I sit in the boat and watch the land. It gets smaller and smaller. We go far. Then I take the boat in another direction. The guard looks at me. "Why this way?" he says. I smile. "More fish here," I lie. He does not know my plan. I wait for the right moment. When the guard looks down, I act fast. I take the wooden pole. I hit him hard. He falls. He does not move. Yuri is afraid. He says, "What now?" I look at him. "Do you want to be free?" He nods. "Then help me," I say. We throw the guard into the sea, not to hurt him, just to leave him behind. He swims back to shore. Now we are alone. Just me, Yuri, and the boat. We sail for many days. The sun burns our skin. The salt dries our lips. We drink little water. We eat dry fish. We are tired, but we are free. We follow the coast. We stay close to land. We see trees, rocks, animals. We sleep in the boat. At night, we hear sounds, strange sounds. We see no people, only shadows in the dark. One day we see land with tall grass. I say, "Let's go." We find sweet water. We drink. We rest. Then we hear a sound, a growl. A lion comes out of the grass. My heart stops. I grab the gun from the boat. I shoot. The lion falls. Yuri shouts, "You saved us." I breathe again. My hands shake. I say, "We must leave now." We sail again. Days pass. We are tired. One morning, we see a ship. A big ship. It comes near us. It is not a pirate ship. It is a trade ship. A white flag waves on top. I stand and wave my arms. Help us, I shout. A man on the ship sees me. He waves back. The ship turns toward us. A small boat comes out. The men on it speak English. My heart feels warm. After many weeks, I hear my own language again. They ask, "Who are you? What happened?" I tell them a little, not everything. I say, "I am lost. I ran away. I want to work. I want to live free." The captain is kind. He says, "You can come with us. We go to Brazil." I say yes, but he looks at Jury. "Is he your servant?" I look at the boy. He helped me. He stayed with me. He did not run. "No," I say. "He is my friend." The captain smiles. "Then he can come too." I look at the sea once more. I think of the island we passed, the land we left behind, the danger we escaped. My life is changing again. But this time, I am not afraid. Chapter 3. A New Life in Brazil. The ship took us far from danger. The sea was calm again. The wind was soft. I stood on the deck and looked at the sky. I felt safe. I felt quiet inside. Jury stood beside me. His eyes were full of light. We did not talk much, but we smiled. That was enough. The captain gave us food, clothes, and a place to sleep. He asked for no money. He said, "You are brave. You risked your life. That is enough for now." I thanked him again and again. In my heart, I felt lucky. I had escaped. I was free. And now I was going to a new land, a land I had never seen, a place called Brazil. After many days, we reached the shore. The ship stopped near a busy town. The streets were full. People moved fast. The sun was hot. I saw things I had never seen before. Big trees, bright fruits, men on horses, women selling things on small carts. The captain took me to a small house. "You can stay here," he said, "and you can work. Many Englishmen come here to buy and sell." I thanked him. He looked at Jury. "The boy can stay with you. But if he wants to go back to Africa one day, let him go." I nodded. Jury smiled. He said, "I stay with you." In the new town, I learned fast. I watched people. I listened to their words. I tried to speak. I made mistakes, but I did not stop. Each day I learned more. I helped on farms. I carried water. I planted seeds. The soil was rich. Everything grew fast. I worked hard. I saved money. I did not waste it. My hands became strong. My heart became still. Life was not easy, but it was good. After 1 year, I bought a small piece of land. I grew sugar and a little tobacco. I sold it in the market. People started to know my name. They said, "Robinson works hard. He is quiet, but smart." I felt proud, but deep inside, something still pulled me, a voice, a memory. The sea. It called me again. I tried to ignore it. I tried to say, "No, stay, be safe." But the sea does not forget, and I did not forget it either. One day I sat with some farmers. We drank tea. We talked about trade. One man said, We need to send goods to Africa. We can sell things there and bring workers back. Another said, we need a ship. We need someone brave to lead it. They looked at me. I said nothing, but I felt the sea move inside me again. I tried to sleep that night, but the sea came into my dreams. I saw ships. I saw waves. I saw a storm. I woke up sweating, but still I said yes. I sold part of my land. I gave Jury his freedom. I said, you are free now. You stayed with me. You helped me. You are my friend. You can go where you want. He looked at me. He did not speak for a while. Then he said, I will never forget you. We shook hands. Then he left. My heart felt heavy, but I knew it was the right thing. I joined the men and helped prepare the ship. We packed tools, clothes, food, and water. I felt strong again. I felt ready. But something deep inside whispered, be careful. The sea gives, but the sea also takes. We left Brazil on a quiet morning. The sky was clear. The sails were full. I stood on the ship and looked ahead. I did not know what was coming, but I knew one thing: my journey was not over yet. Chapter 4. The Storm and the Island. The first days at sea were quiet. The wind was soft. The sky was blue. I walked on the deck and watched the water. It moved like glass. I thought, maybe this time will be different. But deep inside, I felt something. A small fear, like a shadow in the mind. I pushed it away. I told myself, you are strong now. You know the sea. You will be fine. But I was wrong. After 2 weeks, the sky changed. Clouds came fast. The wind turned sharp. The sea started to rise. Our ship shook. The sails screamed in the wind. The captain shouted orders. Men ran across the deck. Water came over the side. The ship moved like a toy in the storm. I held on to the rope. My hands hurt. My body was wet and cold. I could not see. I could not think. I could only feel one thing: fear. The storm got worse. Thunder broke the sky. Waves hit hard. The ship cracked. I heard a loud sound, like the sky itself had broken. Then the mast fell. The ship tilted. Men screamed. The captain shouted, "We're going down!" I looked for something to hold, but the sea pulled me. Cold water hit my face. I went under, then up, then down again. I could not see the ship anymore, only dark waves. I kicked, I pushed, I reached for something, anything. Then I saw land, not far, a line of trees, a small beach. I swam with all my strength. The sea pulled me back again and again, but I did not stop. I thought, this is the end, or this is a new start. I reached the sand. I fell on it. My chest burned. My legs shook, but I was alive. The sea was behind me now. The storm still roared, but I had escaped it. I looked around. I saw trees, rocks, no people, no houses. I stood slowly. My body hurt. I was alone, very alone. I shouted, "Hello?" No answer, just wind and waves. I walked along the shore. I looked for someone, anyone. But there was no one, only me. No ship, no crew, nothing. I sat under a tree. I closed my eyes. I thought of home. I thought of my father's words. The sea is dangerous. He was right. I had not listened. And now I was alone, on an island, far from everything, far from everyone. I did not know where I was. I did not know what to do next. But I was alive. That was the only good thing. The next day, I walked along the beach. I saw something in the water, a part of the ship, floating. I ran into the waves. I pulled it out, a small barrel. Inside I found food, some bread, some dry meat. It was not much, but it gave me hope. Maybe more parts of the ship would come. Maybe I could find tools, clothes, maybe even a gun. I watched the sea all day, and then I saw it, far away, broken, but still there. The ship, stuck on rocks, not far from the island. I looked at it and said, I must go there. Chapter 5. I go back to the ship. My heart beat fast. I knew it was dangerous, but I also knew one thing. If I wanted to live, I had to try. The storm had taken everything from me, my friends, my ship, my plans. But it gave me something too, a chance, a new beginning. Alone on an island, lost to the world, but not lost to myself. I woke up early the next morning. The sun was bright, the wind was soft, the storm was gone now. The sea looked quiet again, but my heart still remembered. The fear, the noise, the water, the screams. I stood on the beach and looked out. Far away, I saw the broken ship. It was still stuck between the rocks. The waves hit it gently now, not like before. I thought, maybe I can go there. Maybe I can get something from the ship. I knew I needed food, tools, clothes, anything to help me live. The island was big, but it was empty. I had no house, no fire, no knife. I had to go. I looked around the beach. I found some long pieces of wood. I found an old rope, too. I worked all morning. I made a small raft. It was not perfect, but it could float. I pushed it into the water. It moved with the waves, but it did not break. I smiled. I felt a little stronger. I went back to the beach and found 2 small pieces of wood. I used them like oars. I pushed the raft out and began to paddle, slowly, carefully. The sea was deep. The wind pushed me back. But I did not stop. The ship came closer. I could see the broken mast, the torn sails, the empty deck. My heart felt strange. That ship had taken me across the world. It had also thrown me into the sea. Now it was quiet, like a dead body. I reached the side of the ship. I climbed up using a rope that still hung there. My hands shook, but I did not fall. I stood on the deck and looked around. Everything was broken, but some parts were still good. I went below deck. It was dark and wet. But I found things: food, tools, a hammer, a small axe, a knife. I found a box with clothes. They were dry. I smiled. I found 2 guns and a little gunpowder. I also found nails, string, and fishing lines. These things were gold to me now. I took everything I could carry. I put it all on the raft. The raft was heavy now. It moved slowly in the water. I got back on and started to paddle again. The way back was hard. The wind was strong. The raft moved left and right. I thought I would fall. I held tight to the rope. My arms were tired. My legs were wet. But after some time, I saw the beach. I cried. Not loud, but deep inside. The land was still there. The sand, the trees, the place that now had to be my home. I pulled the raft to shore. I took the things one by one and placed them under a big tree. I looked at the sky. I said thank you. I had food now, tools, clothes. I had hope. I sat under the tree and thought, now I can live. I don't know for how long, but I will try. I will not give up. That night, I made a small bed with grass and wood. I used one coat as a blanket. I held the knife in my hand. I listened to the sounds of the island, birds, wind, leaves. I heard no people. I saw no lights. I was still alone. But I was not weak. I was still alive. And that was enough for now. Chapter 6. I Build a Home. The next morning, I looked at the sky. It was clear. The sun was warm. I looked around the beach. This was not just a place now. This was my world. I was the only man here. No houses, no roads, no people, just trees, rocks, birds, and wind. But I was alive. I had food. I had tools. I had hope. I needed to do something next. I needed to build a home. I walked far from the beach. I found a small hill. It was not too high. On one side there was a big rock wall. In front of it there was a flat, open space. I stood there and looked around. The land was good. I could see the sea from the hill. I could see the beach. I thought, this is the right place. I dropped my tools on the ground. I said, this will be my home. I worked all day. I cut wood. I carried stones. I made a small wall with the wood and sticks. It was not strong, but it made me feel safe. I put my food inside. I covered it with leaves. I placed my clothes on a rock to dry. I looked at my work and smiled. It was not much, but it was something. My hands were tired. My feet hurt. But my heart was calm. The next few days, I worked more. I made a roof with grass and sticks. I made a door with old wood from the raft. I used nails from the ship. Every day I walked back to the ship to get more things. I took rope, tools, food, and small barrels. I filled one barrel with water. I filled another with dry bread. The ship was breaking more each day, but I used every part I could. I knew the sea would take it soon. After many days, the sky changed. Big clouds came. The wind was strong. Rain started to fall. I ran to my new home. Water came through the roof, but I stayed dry in the corner. I was glad I had worked fast. I sat on the floor, listening to the rain. I held my coat close. I thought of my father. I thought of home. But I did not cry. I was stronger now. The storm passed after one night. The next morning the ship was gone. The sea was quiet again, but my heart felt sad. That ship was my last tie to the world. Now it was under the water. I made a small table. I placed my book on it. I began to write. I wanted to remember each day. I wrote the date. I wrote what I did. I wrote what I felt. My words were simple, but they helped me. I wrote, "Today I built a wall. Today I caught fish. Today I saw a bird with red wings. Today I miss my family." I wrote every day. I spoke the words out loud. It helped me stay strong. It helped me learn. My book was my friend. Time passed. I counted the days. 1 month. 2 months. I did not know how long I would stay here. Maybe forever. But I did not feel like a prisoner now. This was my land, my hill, my home. The sea had taken me from my world, but it had given me a new one. I stood outside one evening. The sun went down. The sky turned orange. I looked at the sea and said, "I will live. I will learn. I will not give up." Chapter 7. I learned to live alone. The days passed slowly. The sun came and went. The rain fell and stopped. I woke up each morning and looked at the sea. It was quiet now, like it had forgotten the storm. I had food. I had water. I had a small home. But I had no people. No voice to talk to. Only birds. Only wind. Only silence. At first, the silence made me sad. I wanted to speak. I wanted to listen. But no one answered. So I spoke to myself. I said things out loud. Simple things. Today I eat fish. Today I fix the roof. Today I feel tired. It felt strange, but it helped me stay strong. I started to walk around the island. I wanted to know this land better. I saw trees I had never seen before. I saw fruits on the ground. I picked them up. Some were sweet, some were sour. I ate slowly. I watched animals too, small rabbits, colorful birds. I followed their paths. I watched their habits. I wanted to learn how they lived. I wanted to live like them, quiet and safe. I found a small stream. Clean water flowed there. I drank from it. It tasted fresh. I said, "Thank you to the land." One day I found a group of goats. They ran when they saw me. They were fast. I could not catch them. But I had an idea. I would build a trap. I used rope and wood. I worked for many days. Then, one morning, I found one goat in my trap. It was small. It looked scared. I did not hurt it. I fed it. I gave it water. Slowly, it trusted me. I tied it near my home. I named it Billy. Now I had a friend, a small goat, but a friend. I spoke to it every day. I said, "Good morning, Billy." I said, Don't be afraid. I am your friend. It did not answer, but it stayed near me. That was enough. I also learned to fish better. I made a fishing rod with string and a stick. I went to the shore and waited. I watched the sea. I learned when the fish came close. I caught one, then two. I cooked them over fire. I made a small grill with stones. I ate slowly. I thanked the sea. Every meal felt special. I never wasted food. I used everything I had. I saved things. I cleaned my tools. I counted my supplies. I made a plan for each day. Work, rest, cook, write. I needed this plan. It kept my mind busy. It gave me purpose. Sometimes I sat outside and looked at the stars. The sky was big, so big. I felt small under it. But I also felt part of something. The sea, the sky, the land, the stars. They were all my family now. I missed people. Yes, I missed my old life. But I was learning something new. I was learning how to live with myself, how to stay calm, how to keep hope. I was not just surviving, I was growing. One day, I stood on the beach and looked far. I saw nothing, only water, but I still hoped. I said, maybe one day a ship will come. Then I smiled and added, and maybe if it doesn't, I will still be okay. Chapter 8. I make my life better. Time moved slowly. The days were long, the nights were quiet. I lived alone, but I was not weak. I was learning how to survive. I was learning how to live. The island was my world now. The trees were my walls. The sky was my roof. The birds were my music. I woke up early. I worked all day. I built. I hunted. I fixed. Every little thing gave me strength. Every little task gave me hope. I made my home stronger. I found more wood. I added walls around my shelter. I used stone and clay. I made the roof better. I made a strong door. I put all my things inside, my food, my tools, my clothes. I kept everything clean. I said, "This is my castle." It was not big. It was not pretty. But it kept me safe, and it was mine. I planted seeds near my home. I found them in the ship's supplies. I did not know if they would grow. I watered them every day. I waited. After many weeks, I saw green leaves. I cried when I saw them, not because they were just plants, but because they were life. They were a sign that I was doing something right. I made a small garden. I worked in it with care. I felt proud. My goat Billy stayed near me. I built a small fence for him. Later, I caught another goat, then one more. I made a little farm. I gave them names. I spoke to them. They listened. Maybe they didn't understand, but I felt heard. I felt less alone. I made milk from them. I boiled it. I drank it slowly. It tasted sweet and warm. I thanked the goats every day. I said, "You are my friends. Thank you." I also made a calendar. I took a piece of wood. Each day, I cut one line on it, a small mark. Day by day, I counted time. 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. I was still here, still alive, still learning. I looked at my own face in the water. My beard was long, my hair was wild, but my eyes were calm. My face had changed, but my heart was steady now. Some nights, I sat near my fire. I looked at the flames. I thought about my father, about York, about the life I left. I said to myself, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should have stayed home. But then I looked around. I saw my home, my garden, my goats, my tools, my fire, and I said, but maybe this is who I am now. I taught myself new things. I made pots from clay. I used fire to make them hard. Some broke, some stayed. I made a chair. I made a shelf. I made a knife from stone. Every day I learned something new. I made mistakes. I failed. But I always tried again. Slowly, the island became my school, my teacher, my test, and I passed each lesson with my hands and my heart. I had no one to clap for me, no one to say, "Good job," but I knew I was doing well. I could see it. I could feel it. I was not just alive. I was living, fully, deeply. I stood on the beach at sunset and whispered, "Thank you, God. Thank you for keeping me here. Thank you for giving me strength." Chapter 9. I see a footprint. One morning, I woke up early. The air was cool. The sky was blue. I walked outside to check my goats. They were fine. I gave them food. I spoke to them. They followed me around. I smiled. Then I walked down to the beach. I often walked there in the morning. It helped me think. It helped me feel calm. I listened to the waves. I watched the birds. I walked slowly across the sand. But this morning was different. I saw something on the ground. It stopped me. My heart jumped. I bent down. I looked again. I did not believe my eyes. It was clear. It was deep. It was real. A footprint. One single footprint in the sand. Not mine, not from my foot. Someone else had been here. I stood up and looked around. I saw no one. I called out, "Hello!" No voice came back, only the wind. I ran to the trees. I looked behind rocks. I ran back to the beach. Nothing, no sound, no shadow, no face, but the footprint was still there, big, fresh, close to my home. I felt cold, not from the wind, but from fear. I had lived here alone for so long. I thought no one else was on this island. I had felt safe. Now I was afraid again. I ran back to my house. I locked the door. I sat inside. My heart beat fast. My hands were shaking. Who was it? A man? A group? A friend? A stranger? I did not know. That night, I could not sleep. I sat with my gun near me. I listened to every sound, every small crack, every bird cry. I thought, what if they come? What if they are near now? The silence felt heavy. My eyes stayed open. I waited for light. The next day, I made a plan. I walked slowly back to the beach. I looked for more footprints. I found none, just that one, alone, like a warning, like a sign. I looked at it again and then covered it with sand. I did not want to see it anymore. I wanted to forget, but I could not. For many days I stayed near my house. I worked quietly. I moved carefully. I cooked with less smoke. I hid my tools. I built a second wall around my shelter. I made it taller. I made it stronger. I dug a hole and made a secret place under the ground. I put my food there, my gun, my powder, my journal, everything important. If someone came, I would be ready. But still, no one came. The island was quiet again. But now, it was a different kind of quiet. Before, the quiet felt safe. Now, it felt dark, like someone was watching. I looked behind me more. I listened harder. Even the birds seemed quieter now. Some nights I dreamed of faces I did not know. I saw fire. I saw people on boats. I saw them walking through the trees. I woke up sweating, my breath fast. I told myself, maybe the footprint was old. Maybe they are gone. But I didn't believe it. Something had changed. I could feel it. Chapter 10. I watched the island. I could not forget the footprint. Day after day it stayed in my mind. I kept asking, who is here? Where did they go? Will they return? The island no longer felt safe. I did not walk far now. I stayed near my house. I watched the trees. I listened to every sound. I cooked with small fires. I spoke to no one. Even the birds and goats seemed quieter. It felt like something was hiding, just out of sight. One morning I climbed the highest hill. I took my telescope with me. I sat behind a rock. I looked out over the island. I saw the beach, the trees, and the sea. For hours I watched. Nothing moved, no people, no boats, only wind in the trees. But I could not rest. I came back every morning. I watched the island like a guard. I waited. I was always waiting now. Then one day, I saw something new. Far on the other side of the island I saw smoke, a small fire, not from trees, not from lightning, a human fire. Someone was there. My hands began to shake. I held the glass tight. I looked again. Still smoke. No faces. But that was enough. I ran back to my home. I locked the door. I sat with my gun. My heart beat like a drum. That night I thought many things. Should I run? Should I hide? Should I try to talk to them? But I was afraid. I did not know if they were good or bad. Maybe they were pirates. Maybe wild men. Maybe they would hurt me. I thought of my father again. His soft voice. The sea is danger. Stay home. But it was too late now. I had walked far from home, and now danger had followed me. The next day, I climbed the hill again. The smoke was gone. The trees were still. The land looked the same, but it wasn't. Now I knew the truth. I was not alone. There were others somewhere, moving in the same trees I once walked through with peace. I made my house stronger. I added more wood, more stone. I made secret paths. I made traps. I hid food in more places. I slept in a new spot each night, sometimes outside, sometimes in the hole. I became like an animal, quiet, watching, waiting. Days passed like this. Weeks. I saw no one, but I still felt them. Then something strange happened. I walked to the far beach one morning. I saw something in the sand, broken wood, rope, a paddle, all old and wet. A boat had been here. Not mine, a different one. Maybe a small group came, maybe one man, maybe many. I saw new footprints near the boat. Then I saw bones, many bones, and a fire pit. I covered my mouth. My stomach turned. I knew now these men were not just visitors. They were cannibals. They had killed someone here. I ran back. I cried alone. I did not sleep that night. I did not eat much. I felt sick. The island was not just wild. It was cruel. I had to be careful. I had to be smart. I had to stay alive. And deep in my heart, one new thought grew. I must not only survive, I must be ready. Chapter 11. I make a secret cave. After seeing the bones on the beach, I could not sleep well. My dreams were full of fear. I saw strange faces. I heard screams in the dark. I woke up shaking. I sat near the fire and held my gun. I looked at the trees. I listened to the wind. I said to myself, I am not safe. I must hide better. I must protect myself. The walls around my home were strong, but I needed more than walls. I needed a place no one could find, a secret place, a place deep inside the land. So, I started digging near the big rock behind my house. It was hard work. The sun was hot. The ground was dry. My hands hurt. My back ached. But I did not stop. I worked every day, bit by bit. I made a small cave. Inside the cave, it was cool and dark. I brought in dry food, clothes, and powder. I placed them in barrels. I used wood to make shelves. I lit a small candle. The cave became my new room. I made a secret door from tree branches. From outside, no one could see it, not even from up close. Now, I felt safer. If the men came again, I would hide here. They would not find me, not in this cave. I also changed my life outside. I walked less. I stayed close to home. I watched the beach from far away. I climbed hills but stayed low. I made no noise. I made no smoke. I cooked only at night. I moved like a shadow, quiet, fast, careful. Even my goats had to move to a new place. I made a second field for them. I built it deep in the trees, hidden from the beach. I did not want fire. I did not want sound. I did not want anyone to know I lived here. Sometimes I sat in the cave and spoke to myself. How long will I live like this? I asked. Will they come back? Will they find me? Will I die on this island? The silence answered me, but the silence gave no promise. So I prayed. I closed my eyes and said, God, Help me stay strong. Help me not to fear. I wrote everything in my journal. I wrote with simple words. Today, I built a door. Today, I moved the food. Today, I heard birds but no voices. Today, I watched the sea. My journal helped me stay calm. It helped me think clearly, even when the world outside felt dark. The words on the page gave me light. One night, I heard a sound, a loud one. I woke up. I grabbed my gun. I stood still. Then I heard it again, a sharp scream. It came from far away. It echoed through the trees. I did not move. I waited. It stopped. Then silence again. Long, cold silence. I did not sleep again that night. The next morning I climbed the high rock. I looked far across the land. I saw something on the sand. Many figures, small from far, but I knew they were men. They were back, but I was ready now. Chapter 12. I watched the strangers. I lay flat on the rock. I held my telescope in my hands. I looked down at the beach. I counted the men. There were 5, no, 6, then more, 11 men. They were tall and strong. Their skin was dark. They wore little clothes. They carried sticks and knives. They walked slowly. Some laughed. Some shouted. Then I saw something that made my heart stop. They were not alone. 2 other men were with them, but these men had ropes on their hands. They were tied, prisoners. They looked weak. They looked scared. My hands began to shake. I wanted to help, but I was only one man. They were many. The group stopped near the sea. They made a fire. They put the prisoners near it. I watched in silence. I could not move. I could not speak. My heart was heavy. My mind was cold. I knew what would happen next, the same thing that had happened before. I looked at the trees. I looked at my gun. I said nothing. Then something strange happened. One of the prisoners stood up fast. He hit the man behind him. He broke the rope. He ran. The others shouted. They chased him. He ran toward the trees, toward me. My heart beat faster. I looked again through the glass. I saw his face. He was young, maybe 20. His eyes were wide. His feet were fast. He ran into the trees. 2 men followed him. The others stayed behind. The young man ran near my hill, very close. I stood behind the trees. I held my gun. I waited. Then I saw him. He was running toward me. I stepped out. I raised my hand. He stopped. He looked afraid. I pointed to the ground. I said, "Quiet." He nodded. I pointed behind him. 2 men came running fast. I raised my gun. I fired. 1 man fell. The other stopped. He turned. He ran back to the beach. I looked at the young man. He looked at me. His eyes were full of fear, but also full of thanks. He put his hand on his heart. Then he touched my feet. I pulled him up. "You are safe now," I said. He did not know my words, but he knew my heart. We went back to the cave. I gave him water. I gave him food. He ate like he had not eaten in days. He sat on the ground. He looked at me like I was a god. I shook my head. I said, I am just a man, just like you. I wrote in my journal that night, today I saved a man. He ran from death. I helped him live. He is now with me. I do not know his name, but I will give him one. I looked at him again. He smiled a warm, true smile. I smiled back. Your name is Friday, I said, because today is Friday. He said nothing, but his eyes spoke to me. Chapter 13. I teach Friday. Friday stayed with me. He did not try to run. He did not try to hide. He followed me everywhere. He watched everything I did. His eyes were full of light. He was strong, fast, young, but also calm and kind. He did not speak my words, but he smiled when I smiled. He helped me with work. He brought water. He gathered wood. He fed the goats. He never asked for anything. He only looked at me with respect. I was not his master, but he treated me like one, and I wanted to treat him like a friend. I wanted to teach him English. I pointed to myself and said, Robinson. He smiled. Then he pointed to himself and said, Friday. I smiled back. Then I pointed to a tree. Tree, I said. He repeated, tree. Then I pointed to a goat. Goat, I said. Goat, he said. His voice was clear. His mind was quick. Every day I gave him more words. Hand, water, food, fire, sky, rain. Slowly, he learned. He listened. He spoke. He laughed when he made mistakes. I laughed too. It felt good. After so long, I was not alone. He was not just learning English. He was learning how I lived. He watched how I made fire with stones. He watched how I cooked, how I cleaned, how I wrote in my book. He asked with his eyes, why? I showed him everything. I gave him his own plate, his own blanket, his own knife. He said, thank you, with his smile. One night, I sat near the fire. I said, Friday, do you have family? He looked at me. His face changed. He looked sad. He said, far, far place. Then he pointed to the sea. He said, many men, bad men, eat men. I understood. His people were not safe. He was taken. He was hurt. He ran to live just like me. I said, no bad men here. You are safe. He nodded. He said, Friday stay with you. I smiled. I felt warm inside. We were two men from different worlds, but now we were one small family. I made a second bed in the cave. I gave him extra clothes. I taught him how to shoot. I showed him how to use the gun. He was careful. He was good. He never wasted bullets. He learned fast. I gave him simple jobs. I said, catch fish, cut wood, watch goats. He did everything well. He came back happy. He was proud. Now the days were not so quiet. We spoke. We laughed. I taught him songs. He tried to sing them. Sometimes we sat under the trees and watched the sky. I said, this is peace. He repeated, peace. I showed him my book. I showed him how I wrote each day. He watched my hand. He touched the paper. Then he said, I want to learn. I felt full inside. I said, "Yes, Friday, I will teach you." That night I wrote in my journal, "I have a friend now, not just a helper, a real friend. He is kind, he is brave, he is learning, and I am learning too. After so many years, I do not feel alone." Chapter 14. We work together. Friday woke up early every day before the sun came up. He was ready to work. He went to the goats. He brought fresh water. He cleaned the tools. He smiled when he saw me. I smiled back. I did not need to ask him anything. He already knew what to do. I was not his master. He was not my servant. We were two men helping each other, living together. We built many things side by side, a bigger fence for the goats, a small tower near the beach, a new room beside the cave. We cut wood together. We carried stones together. Sometimes we did not speak much, but we worked with peace. I thought, I am not alone now. This life is hard, but it is better with him. I gave him more words each day. He remembered everything: sky, stone, paper, sleep, gun, write. I showed him how to hold a pen. He smiled. He made letters with his hand. They were not perfect, but they were good. I said, "Very good, Friday." He laughed and clapped. It felt like a school, but we were both students. We learned from each other. I learned his way. He learned mine. I told him stories about my home, about my father, about England. He listened with big eyes. Then he told me about his island, his people, his fear. He said, "I was taken. I was afraid. I ran. You saved me." I said, "You are safe now. You are free." He smiled and said, "Free." We went hunting together. He was fast, quiet, like a cat. He taught me how to move through the trees. He showed me how to find animals, how to follow tracks. I taught him how to use the gun. I said, "Hold here, aim there, wait, now shoot." He learned fast. We brought back birds, rabbits, fish. We ate together. We gave thanks. We shared everything. One day, we sat near the fire. He looked at me and said, "Why you come here?" I told him about the ship, the storm, the sea, the island. He listened. Then he said, "God sent me to you." I looked at him. His eyes were full of truth. I said, "Maybe God sent us to each other." The days were full now, not with fear, but with work, learning, and peace. We still watched the sea. We still listened for danger, but we were stronger now. We were ready. We had food. We had fire. We had faith. We had each other. That night, I looked up at the stars. I thought about the past, the ship, the storms, the silence. And now I had Friday, a friend, a light in my dark world. I wrote in my book, "He came from fear, but brought me peace. He came from danger, but gave me hope. I do not know the future, but now I am not afraid." Chapter 15. A Secret from Friday. One evening we sat under the trees. The fire was small, the stars were bright. Friday looked quiet. His face was thinking. I asked, What is in your mind? He looked at me, then looked down. After some time, he said, I know this island. I was surprised. You've been here before? I asked. He nodded slowly. Yes, long time ago. I came with bad men. They kill, they eat, they leave. I was afraid. I listened closely. My heart beat faster. This was not just an island to him, it was a memory. He pointed to the south, far side. He said, That way they come. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't, but they know this place. I felt cold inside. So it was true. This island was not empty. Sometimes terrible men came here. They brought prisoners. They made fires. They left bones. I looked at the trees. I thought about the footprint again. I thought about the screams I once heard. They were real. I asked him, Will they come again? Friday looked at me. His eyes were full of fear. Yes, he said, one day, maybe soon. I stood up. I walked back and forth. My mind was loud. What should I do? I said. Should we hide? Should we run? But deep inside I knew something. I could not run anymore. I had lived too long in fear. I had a home now. I had a friend. I had a life. I would not give it up so easily. Friday, I said, if they come, will you help me fight? He stood up. He looked strong. He said, Yes, I help you. You saved me. I fight with you. I placed my hand on his shoulder. I said, Then we are brothers now. The next day, we made a plan. We went to the south side of the island. We moved slowly. We hid behind rocks. We stayed low in the trees. After some time, we saw it. Ashes, bones, pieces of rope. The men had been there not long ago, maybe 2 or 3 days. I felt sick, but I stayed strong. Friday looked calm. They will come back, he said. This place is not safe. We returned home. We built higher walls. We made new traps. We hid more food in the cave. We cleaned our guns. We made sharp sticks. We chose hiding spots in the trees. I said, We will watch every day from morning to night. Friday said, We be ready. My hands worked fast. My heart was quiet but hard like stone. That night, I could not sleep. I sat near the cave and watched the stars. I held my gun. I listened to the wind. I remembered the time I was alone. That time was over. Now I had a friend, a partner, someone who trusted me, someone I could trust. The island had changed again. First, it gave me fear. Then it gave me peace. Now it gave me purpose. I wrote in my journal, If they come, I will not run. I will stand. I will fight, not just for myself, but for Friday too. This island is our home now, and we will protect it together. Chapter 16. The Day They Came. The morning was quiet, too quiet. The birds did not sing, the trees did not move, even the wind felt still. I opened my eyes and sat up quickly. Something felt wrong. I looked at Friday. He was already awake. He was not speaking. He was listening. His body was still, but his eyes were sharp. I whispered, "What is it?" He pointed toward the sea. "They are here," he said softly. I felt my chest tighten. The day we feared had come. We climbed the hill and hid behind the rocks. I brought my telescope. I looked down toward the far beach. I saw them, many men in a big canoe, maybe 20. They landed on the sand. They jumped out, laughing and shouting. I counted them, 18, strong and wild. They had long sticks and knives, and they had prisoners again, 3 men, tied, weak, lost. My hands began to shake. I had never fought so many men. I looked at Friday. He was calm. His face was hard. He said, "Now we fight." I nodded. I did not want to fight, but we had no choice. If we waited, the prisoners would die, and maybe one day we would be next. We had to stop them. I said, "We save the prisoners, but we must be smart. We must be fast." We took our guns. We took our knives. We moved through the trees, step by step, slow, quiet, careful. We stayed low. We waited behind thick bushes. We watched the men dance and shout. 2 of them stood near a prisoner. One raised a knife. The man on the ground cried. That was it. I stood up, I aimed, I fired. The man with the knife fell. Friday fired next. The second man fell. The others turned. They screamed. They looked into the trees. They saw us. I shouted, "Run!" We ran down fast. Friday was faster than me. We shot again. 2 more men fell. The rest were afraid. They did not know how many of us there were. They ran to their boat. We chased them, but we did not kill them all. We let them run. We wanted to save the prisoners, not kill every man. The beach was quiet now. The fire was still burning. I walked to the prisoners. They were tied with ropes. They looked up at me with fear. I cut the ropes quickly. I said, "You are free." 1 man fell into my arms. He cried. Another man hugged Friday. The 3rd man looked weak. He could not speak, but he took my hand and kissed it. We helped them walk. We gave them water. We gave them food. 1 man began to speak slowly. His English was broken, but I understood. He said, "Thank you. We thought we would die. You saved us." Friday looked at me and said, "You strong." I smiled. "No," I said. "We are strong together." That night we made a big fire near the cave. We all sat around it. The 3 men slept close to the fire. They were safe now. Friday sat beside me. He said, "They will come again." I nodded. "Yes, but now they know we are not afraid." I looked at the stars. I thought of the man I once was, alone, afraid, lost. Now I was different. I was still on the island, but I had a friend, I had a purpose, and now I had saved lives. I wrote in my journal, "Today I fought not for myself, but for others." I am not just living now. I am standing for something, for peace, for hope, for life. Chapter 17. A stranger speaks my language. The next morning the sun rose slowly. The sea looked calm again, but my mind was still full of thoughts. I could not forget the fight. I could not forget the fear. But I also could not forget the faces of the men we saved. They were alive now, and they were safe. I looked at them as they sat near the fire. They were eating slowly. They were quiet. Their eyes were still afraid, but they looked at me with thanks, deep thanks, the kind that does not need many words. I walked toward them. I sat down. I smiled. One of the men looked at me closely. He said something. His words were not clear at first. I listened again. Then I understood. He was speaking English. I was shocked. I said, "Do you speak English?" His face lit up. "Yes," he said, "a little." My heart jumped. I had not heard English from a stranger in many, many years. My voice almost broke. "Who are you?" I asked. "Where are you from?" He said, "I am from Spain. I was on a ship. We were lost. My friends were taken. I ran. I was caught, then brought here by these men." I listened to every word. It felt like a dream. Someone from the outside world. Someone who knew the sea. Someone like me. I said, "You are free now. You can stay with us." He looked at me with soft eyes. "You saved my life," he said. "I will follow you. I will help you." I called Friday. I introduced him to the man. Friday smiled. The man smiled back. They shook hands. I said, "Now we are three, stronger than before." The man told us more. His name was Pedro. He was kind. He was smart. He helped the other two men who were still weak. He cooked for them. He cleaned their cuts. He told them they were safe. He gave them peace. I watched him. I thought, this man brings healing. Maybe he was sent to us for a reason. Days passed. The men became stronger. They helped us with work. They brought fruit. They cut wood. They carried water. One of them made jokes. The other sang small songs. At night, the cave was full of new sounds now, human sounds, happy sounds. It was no longer a place of hiding. It was a home. One night, we all sat by the fire. Pedro looked at me and said, "You have lived here many years. You built all this alone?" I nodded. "Yes, alone for a long time, but not anymore." I looked at Friday. I looked at the others. Now I have friends. Pedro said, "Maybe one day we can leave this island together." I looked at the stars. For the first time, that idea felt real. Not just a dream, not just a hope, but a plan. I wrote in my journal that night, "I am not the same man who washed up on this island. I was lost. I was broken. I was alone. Now I have a reason to wake up each day. I have friends. I have strength. And maybe, just maybe, I have a future." Chapter 18. We build a boat. Every day now felt full, full of voices, full of footsteps, full of life. No longer was I just one man walking on sand. I heard Friday's laugh. I heard Pedro's stories. I heard the other two men singing. In the morning, my island was still quiet, but not lonely. The trees still stood tall, but now we stood with them. The sky was still wide, but now our dreams were wider. One evening, after dinner, Pedro came to me. His face was calm but serious. He said, "I want to ask you something." I looked at him and said, "Go ahead." He said, "Can we leave this island? Can we build a boat?" I stayed quiet for a moment. My eyes looked at the sea, so wide, so deep. Then I looked at the men, all healthy now, all strong, all ready. "I think we can," I said. The next day, we went to the forest. We looked for the biggest tree, one that was strong but not too thick. We found one near the river. Friday touched the bark and said, "Good." We began to work. We cut it slowly, carefully. It took many days. Our hands were tired. Our clothes were wet with sweat. But we smiled because every cut was hope, every drop was a step toward freedom. When the tree fell, we cheered. We cleaned it. We shaped it. We turned it into the body of a boat, long and wide, strong and light. We used ropes. We used fire. We used all we had. We brought wood from the old ship. We found cloth to make a small sail. We worked every day. We ate together. We slept under the stars, and the boat began to look like a real boat, a boat that could ride the sea. One night, I sat alone. I thought of England. I thought of my father. His soft voice came back to me. "The sea is danger," he had said. But now, the sea was also a chance, a road back, a door home. My heart was full of feeling. I missed my home, but I also loved this island. It had changed me. It had made me strong. It had given me Friday. It had shown me who I really was. When the boat was ready, we pushed it to the river. It floated. It moved. We laughed. We jumped in. It was strong. It was fast. It was real. "Now we just need a good day," Pedro said. "A clear sky, a soft wind." "Yes," Friday said, "but I will come back one day." I said, "Maybe I will never forget this place." That night I wrote in my journal, "We made a boat, not with many tools, not with great skill, but with hope, with hands, with hearts. We are not running away. We are sailing toward a new life. This island will always be part of me, but now it is time to begin again." Chapter 19. A ship appears. The boat was ready. It stood in the water like a sleeping bird, strong, silent, waiting. Every day we checked the sky. We watched the wind. We packed food. We packed water. We made small bags with powder and bullets. We said little, but we all felt the same. Something was coming. A new chapter. A new life. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Friday came running from the beach. His face was full of shock. He shouted, "Ship! Ship!" I stood up quickly. My hands shook. "Are you sure?" I asked. He nodded fast. "Big ship. White sails. Not far." We ran to the high hill. I took my telescope. I looked out to the sea, and there it was. A real ship. Not a dream. Not a broken one. A full, tall ship with flags. It moved slowly toward the island. My heart beat fast. I could not speak. Pedro came beside me. "It's English," he said. "Look at the flag." I looked again. It was true. An English ship. My country. My people. After so many years. But something felt wrong. The ship stopped far from the beach. A small boat came out. 6 men rowed to shore. I watched them. They pulled 2 men out. Their hands were tied. One was in fine clothes, a captain maybe. The other looked weak. Both were prisoners. More men followed. They had guns. I felt cold. I said, "This is not good." Pedro said, "They are not here to help. They want to harm." I looked at Friday. He said, "We stopped them. We moved fast. We took our guns. We hid in the trees. We waited. The men tied the prisoners to a tree. They shouted. They laughed. One man hit the captain. I felt anger inside me. I raised my gun. Then I gave the signal. We fired. One man fell. The other screamed. We ran out and shouted, "Drop your guns!" They looked shocked. They saw 4 men, strong and ready. They ran. 2 were caught. The rest ran to the boat. "We freed the prisoners," I said. The captain looked at me with wide eyes. "Who are you?" he asked. I said, "A man who knows this island better than you." He smiled. He cried. He held my hand. "You saved me," he said. "I was left by my own men. They wanted to take the ship." I said, "You will take it back." He nodded. "With your help." We made a new plan. That night we sailed to the big ship in our own boat. Quiet, fast. The bad men were sleeping. We climbed up. We took control. There was no big fight. The captain stood tall again. The ship was his now, and soon it would be ours too. The next morning, the sun rose. The sky was gold. The sea was soft. The ship was ready. The captain said, "We will take you home." I looked at Friday. He looked at the island. We were quiet for a long time. Then I said, "Goodbye, island. You taught me how to live. You gave me pain. You gave me peace. You gave me a new heart." Friday said, "I come with you, but one day I return." I smiled. "And I will never forget you." The ship moved slowly away. I stood on the deck. The island grew smaller. The sea opened wide. After 28 years, 2 months, and 19 days, I was going home. Chapter 20. I see my country again. The ship moved across the sea slowly. The days were long and quiet. The sun was hot. The wind was soft. I stood on the deck and looked at the water. My eyes watched the waves, but my heart looked behind me, back to the island, back to the years I spent there, 28 long years. That island was my prison. It was also my teacher, my home, my friend. I had cried there. I had grown there. Now I was leaving it forever. Friday stood beside me. He looked at the sea with wonder. Every day was new to him, every sound, every bird, every sail. He asked me many questions. I answered them slowly. I taught him new words every day. He was learning fast. Just like before, he was still my student, but also my friend, my brother. I knew the world would be strange for him, but I also knew he was strong. After many weeks, the sky changed. The sea grew busy. More ships passed by. The captain smiled. He said, "We are close now." My heart beat faster. I walked to the front of the ship and waited. I said nothing, but my eyes stayed wide. Then, one morning, I saw it. Land. Not just any land. England, my home. Tears filled my eyes. My legs felt weak. I held the side of the ship and whispered, "I'm back." I wanted to run. I wanted to fall to my knees, but I just stood there watching the land that I had left so long ago. We reached the port. People moved fast. Horses pulled carts. Women sold food. Children laughed. It was loud. It was full. I felt lost in the noise. Everything had changed, or maybe I had changed. I did not know how to speak to these people. I had not used money in years. I had no house, no family. I had only my name. I walked through the town slowly. Friday stayed close. He looked nervous. So did I. I asked about York, my hometown. I paid a man to take us there. It was far. The roads were cold. The nights were dark. But I did not stop. I needed to see it again. When we reached York, I looked around. So many new buildings, new faces. I walked through the streets and looked for my house. It was not the same. The door was closed. The garden was gone. A stranger lived there now. I asked about my father, about my family, but I learned the truth. My father had died many years ago. My mother, too. My brothers had left the city. I stood on the street in silence, my eyes full of tears. I was home, but I had no one. Friday touched my shoulder. He said softly, "I stay with you." I looked at him and smiled. "Yes," I said, "we are home now, together." That night I sat in a small room and wrote in my book. I went to sea as a young man. I was foolish. I was wild. I lost everything. Then I found an island. I found pain. I found strength. I found myself. Now I am back. Not rich, not young, but I am alive, and I am not alone. Chapter 21. A Quiet Life Begins Again. The days in York were quiet. I walked through the streets like a stranger. Everything looked new, but my heart was full of old memories. I remembered my father's voice. I remembered my home. I remembered the small room where I once read books about the sea. I had dreamed of ships, of lands, of great adventure. And now, after many years, I had returned, but not as a dreamer. I had returned as a man who had seen too much, lost too much, and learned more than he ever wanted. Friday stayed close to me. He watched the people. He listened to the sounds. He was quiet, but kind. Some people looked at him with surprise. They had never seen someone like him. But he did not mind. He held his head high. He was proud. I was proud of him too. I said, "You are safe here." And he smiled. I tried to find someone from my old life. I searched for old friends, old neighbors, but most of them were gone. Some had died. Some had moved away. Some had forgotten my name. The world had changed, and so had I. I felt alone again, but in a different way, not like on the island. This was the kind of alone that comes from time, not from distance. Still, I needed to live. I used the little money I had to buy a small house in a quiet village not far from York. It had a garden, a fireplace, a wooden chair. I planted vegetables with Friday. I read books again. I wrote about my island. I wrote about the storm, the cave, the goats, the fear, the hope. I wrote every detail, every sound, every tear. I wanted to remember it all. I wanted others to read it one day and learn from my mistakes. Friday helped the people in the village. He worked hard. He smiled at everyone. Soon they liked him. They gave him a small job. He learned more English. He helped me write letters. He sat by the fire and listened to my stories. Sometimes he laughed. Sometimes he cried. We were not just man and servant. We were like father and son, like brothers. One evening, I sat outside with Friday. The sky was pink and quiet. The birds sang soft songs. I said, "Do you miss the island?" He looked at the sky and said, "Yes, but here I have peace." I nodded. "Me too," I said. I looked at the world around me. No more guns, no more storms, no more fear. Just soft wind and warm light. A life of calm after years of chaos. That night, I wrote in my journal, "I once wanted gold. I once wanted adventure. But now I only want peace, and I have found it in quiet days, in simple work, in the smile of a friend. I am not the same man, and I am thankful." Chapter 22. The world feels new again. The village became my new world. It was small. It was peaceful. People lived simple lives. They worked in fields. They baked bread. They smiled at each other. It was not loud. It was not rich. But it was warm, and I liked it. Each morning I walked in my garden. The flowers grew slowly. The air was clean. The birds sang above me. I closed my eyes and listened. No waves, no thunder, no fear, just calm. My heart was healing. Friday woke up early too. He worked with joy. He helped old people carry wood. He played with children. He learned to read and write better. Sometimes he asked questions about the world. What is a train? What is a king? What is winter? I answered as best as I could. I saw the world again through his eyes. Everything was new again. One day, the school teacher from the village came to visit me. He had heard about my long journey. He had heard I lived on an island for many years. He sat with me and asked, "Will you tell your story to the children?" I smiled. "Yes," I said. "They must learn what I learned, that the world is not always kind. But if you stay strong, it can become beautiful again." So, I went to the small school. I stood in front of young faces. I told them about the sea, the storm, the island, the fear, the fire, the goats, the book, Friday. I told them everything. Their eyes were wide, their mouths stayed open. One boy said, "You were brave." I smiled and said, "I was scared, but I did not stop. That is enough." After that day, the children came to visit often. They asked more questions. They wanted to see my tools, my journal, the map I had drawn. I showed them. I told them, "You do not need to go far to learn. You only need to open your eyes and your heart." As time passed, I wrote more pages in my journal, but now they were not full of pain. They were full of thanks. I wrote about sunsets, about warm tea, about the quiet sound of rain. I wrote about people who smiled without reason, about friends who stayed, about days that felt soft and full. Friday became known by everyone. He was loved. He had many friends. People forgot he came from far away. He was now one of them, one of us. One cold evening, we sat by the fire. I looked at him and asked, "Do you think we will ever go back to the island?" He thought for a moment, and then said, "No." That island was the place we had to survive. This place is the place we were meant to live. And he was right. That night, I wrote in my journal, "There was a time I wanted ships, gold, adventure, but now I want soft mornings, quiet friends, clean air, and a heart that says thank you every day. This is the better treasure." Chapter 23. I remember the island. One morning, I sat alone in the garden. The sky was soft gray. A cool wind touched my face. The trees moved slowly. Everything was quiet. Friday had gone to the market. The village was still. I held a warm cup of tea in my hand, and I began to think. I thought about the island again. It came back to me like a slow dream. The first time I stood on that beach, the sound of the waves, the fear in my chest, the long nights, the strange noises, the quiet mornings, the smell of wet trees, the feel of cold rain on my skin. I could still feel it all. I remembered building the first wall with shaking hands. I remembered counting my food, marking the days, catching the first goat, digging the cave, watching the sea with empty hope. I remembered crying alone, and then I remembered finding strength inside me. Then came the better memories, the fire I made with my own hands, the garden I planted, the first fish I caught, the small words I spoke out loud to myself just to hear a voice, And then Friday, the day I saw his face, the moment I saved him, the first time he called me master, the first time I said, "No, friend." His smile, his heart, his laugh, his courage. He did not come from my world, but he gave my world back to me. And I thought of Pedro, the Spanish sailor, the men we saved, the fire we built together, the boat we made, the ship we took, the sea that brought me back home. All of it was far behind me now, but it lived in my heart forever. I stood up and walked back inside. I opened the old chest near my bed. Inside was my journal, the same book I had written in every day on the island. I touched the pages. The ink had faded, but the words still lived. I sat and read a few lines. They were simple, but they were true. I am afraid, but I must go on. Today I made bread. Today I built a chair. Today I spoke to the wind. Today I saved a man. I closed the book. I smiled. I said softly, "Thank you, island. You broke me. You built me. You gave me the best parts of myself." That night, Friday came home. He brought bread and honey. We ate together near the fire. I told him I had read the old journal again. He said, "That island made us both who we are." I nodded. "Yes, and now we know how to live anywhere." I wrote in my journal again before bed. The island is behind me, but its lessons are inside me. I no longer wish to escape from it. I now thank it. The storm gave me the island. The island gave me a life. Chapter 24. A visit from the past. Many months passed. The village felt like home now. People greeted me by name. Children smiled when they saw Friday. We lived simply. We planted food. We made soup. We shared stories. Life was small but full. I did not need gold. I did not need ships. I needed quiet mornings, a warm fire, a kind word, and I had all of them. One afternoon, I sat near the door reading. The sky was light blue. The birds flew in soft circles. Then I heard the sound of a horse. I looked up. A man was coming down the road. He wore a coat with gold buttons. He looked around, then stopped in front of my house. He smiled at me. "Are you Mr. Robinson Crusoe?" he asked. I stood slowly. "Yes," I said. "That is my name." The man reached into his coat and took out a letter. "This is for you, from the sea." My hands shook as I opened it. The paper was clean. The writing was strong. I read the name at the bottom, Pedro, my old friend, the sailor we saved. I smiled wide. The letter said, "My dear Crusoe, I hope you are alive and well. I return to my land. I am safe. I work again on the sea, but I never forget you. You saved me. You gave me life. I tell your story to everyone. The man who lived alone, but became the strongest man I ever met. If you ever wish to sail again, my ship will always have a place for you. Your friend, Pedro." I sat down. My heart was full. I remembered his kind face, his strong voice. I looked at Friday. He read the letter too. He smiled. "You helped many," he said. I nodded, and now they remember. I did not plan to sail again. My legs were old now. My hands did not move as fast. But my heart felt young again. That letter brought the sea back to me, not with fear, but with love. I folded it slowly and placed it in my journal, a new page, a new memory. That evening I sat with Friday near the fire. The stars blinked above. I said, "The sea gave me pain, but it also gave me people. You, Pedro, and even myself." Friday looked at me. "The island taught us everything." I smiled. "Yes, and now the world feels small, but my heart feels full." I wrote in my journal that night, "Some stories do not end with gold or with ships or with loud cheers. Some stories end with a letter, a smile, a warm fire, and a friend beside you." Chapter 25. The Life I Never Dreamed. The days were slow now, but they were sweet. I woke up with the sun. I opened the door. I breathed the soft air. I looked at the trees and the sky. I listened to the birds. Every sound felt like a gift. I had no noise in my heart, no storm in my mind, just peace. Real peace, the kind I never had before. When I was young, I wanted ships. I wanted money. I wanted to run from home. I thought adventure was everything. I thought quiet was boring. But now I understood something new. Sometimes the best adventure is learning how to live with less, learning how to live with love, learning how to be still. Friday and I made a new garden. We grew potatoes, onions, and green leaves. He was strong. He sang as he worked. People in the village helped too. The children brought water. The older women brought seeds. We shared the food with everyone. No one was hungry. No one was left out. We were all one family now. One afternoon, an old woman in the village came to see me. She gave me a warm pie and said, "Thank you." I smiled and asked, "For what?" She said, "For the stories. The children listen to you. They learn. You make them brave." I felt a tear in my eye. I had never tried to be special. I just told the truth, but maybe that was enough. Sometimes I still walked alone. I went to the river. I sat on a rock and looked at the water. I saw my own face, older now, but peaceful. I said to myself, "This is the life I never dreamed, but it is better than all my dreams." I remembered the island, the first days, the fear, the silence, the cold nights, the sound of waves with no voices. I remembered my footprints in the sand, my fire, my first bread, my goats, my journal. I remembered how I changed day by day. Pain taught me, silence taught me, and that island saved my soul. That night, I wrote again in my book, the same book I had used all those years ago, the same old pages. My writing was slower now, but my heart was full. I do not need to go far anymore. I do not need the sea. I do not need ships. I need only this: a warm bed, a good friend, a kind word, and a thankful heart. This is enough. Friday read my words. He nodded. Yes, he said, very good words. I laughed softly. You have good words now, too. He smiled. I learn from you, I said, and I learn from you. We sat by the fire in silence, but it was not empty. It was full, full of years, full of memories, full of quiet joy. Chapter 26. I Teach, I Learn. Life in the village moved slowly, like a quiet river. Nothing rushed, nothing shouted. Every day felt soft like morning light. I no longer counted the days. I no longer watched the sky for ships. I just lived. I just breathed. And that was enough. People came to visit me often now. They sat in my garden. They asked questions. What was the island like? Were you afraid? How did you survive? I answered kindly. I spoke in short words. I wanted them to understand, not just the story, but the lesson. That fear does not win when we stay calm. That we do not need much to live. That silence can teach if we listen. The children loved Friday. They followed him in the fields. They helped him plant seeds. He showed them how to fish, how to climb trees, how to walk quietly in the forest. He told them about the stars. He told them how to find water in dry land. They listened to him more than they listened to anyone. He became their teacher, and I became proud. One boy came to me with a small book. He said, I want to write like you. I smiled. I gave him a pen. I said, write about what you see, what you feel, what you learn. That day, I saw him sitting under a tree, writing slowly. It made me happy. I thought, maybe this is my work now. Not to travel, not to fight, but to plant small seeds of wisdom in young hearts. Sometimes Friday and I walked in the hills. We said little. We just watched the wind move the grass. I asked him once, do you miss the island? He said, I miss the trees, the birds, the sea, but not the fear, not the lonely days. I said, me too. We visited the church every week. We sat in the back. I closed my eyes and gave thanks, not for gold, not for big things, but for the quiet life I had now. I thanked God for every morning, for every smile, for every lesson the island gave me. One night, Friday made dinner. It was simple, bread and soup. We sat by the fire and ate slowly. He said, I like this life. No pain, no guns, no bad men. I nodded. This is the best part of the story, I said. The part with no fear, the part where we just live. That night, I opened my journal again, the old one. I turned to a fresh page. I once wanted more. I once chased danger. But now I teach, I learn. I grow small flowers in my garden. I watch young minds open like the sky. I smile at quiet things. And that is enough. I am at peace. I closed the book. I looked at the fire. It burned gently, just like my heart now. Chapter 27. The Man I Have Become. The wind outside was soft. The sky was light blue. I sat on a wooden chair with my book in my hand. The sun touched my face through the small window. It was a quiet morning, like many others, but something felt special. Something inside me was still and full. I had not thought about the island for many days. I had not dreamed of storms, of waves, of fire. Now I dreamed of gardens, of children running through grass, of Friday laughing, of warm soup on cold nights. I no longer lived with fear. I lived with thanks. I looked at my hands. They were not as strong as before. My fingers were slower. My steps were softer, but my heart was lighter and my mind was calm. I once feared time. Now I welcomed it. I once chased the world. Now I enjoyed each simple day. Friday came in with a basket of fresh fruit. Apples, he said with a smile. The tree gave many today. I looked at the red fruit. I remembered planting that tree. It was small back then, thin, weak, but I had given it water Sunday time, and now it gave sweet fruit, just like my life. We ate together. We said little, but we smiled often. That was our way now. Not too many words, just soft peace between us. I told him, "One day you will teach others. You will tell your story too." He nodded. "But this is still my favorite chapter," he said, "the one with quiet days." Later, I walked through the village. People waved at me. Some called me teacher, others called me captain, a few simply said friend. I liked all those names, but inside, I was just Robinson, a man who had learned to be still, a man who once ran from everything and then found everything by stopping. I sat under the big tree in the garden. Children came with questions. How do you build a house from nothing? How do you stay strong when you are alone? I answered slowly, one wall at a time. I said, one word, one step, one day. They listened, their eyes wide. I saw myself in them, young, full of dreams, not knowing the cost of them yet. That night, I lit a candle. I opened my journal again. The pages were old now, some torn, some stained, but they were beautiful to me. I once wanted the sea. Now I want the soil. I once lived in fear. Now I live in grace. I once had no one. Now I have friends, smiles, and peace. I once was only Robinson. Now I am something more. I looked at the candle. It burned gently, like a soft heart, like the light of a life well lived.